Keep them running for the entire duration until we regroup. I'll say give your hands a break. Yeah, we're going to get you unmuted for sure. But I am going to keep Toyo and Elizabeth behind so I can teach them more about that EMF meter and what's going on with that. And I'm going to be with everybody else in just a minute. So you crank that thing up and get a listening. So you're really like the highlight of the show right now because that one gives us the most. All right, you two stay with me. The rest of you spread out. Let's do this. Stay within the confines of the lodge. People start walking by, don't film them. I know, right? All right, so we'll always give communication advice. I'm so sorry. So maybe as the kind of night goes through, just some of you guys are doing the things and throw on your way as an extra. You're an extra. So be it.
Don't tell our secrets.
What did you say?
Don't tell our secrets.
So with that, like your nice slow motions out of that are perfect. Just so you have that idea. This car's sitting around here just really weird and random tonight. There's a car sitting like right in front of this like set of stairs. I'm like, what are they doing sitting there? Apparently the traffic was backed up. But nice slow motions. I do watch those videos in double time. So A, I can cover more coverage. And 2, it's much easier to find an anomaly in those cameras when they're being watched in double the speed. I know it sounds weird, but I've been doing this too long where I can like actually spot it out quicker if I'm watching it in a faster speed. So the slower you move, just like you were doing, the better.
Okay.
So have you seen anything weird out of that?
Not really. You start to see things and you're like, it's just a tree. You
Right.
know, like...
And yeah, that's exactly why I handed that camera to you, is so that way you can learn to debunk a lot of those things. Not to say like you sounded like my skeptic of the night, but just based on the energy from everybody else, I'm like, oh, Matt's probably going to be the guy that needs a little bit more proof that you can debunk these things and not everything is going to be a ghost. And she's like, yeah, he's that guy. I can see the scowl on her face. But they will pick up your shadows as well. That was one thing I did not point out to you yet. So it basically should look like there's 2 people laying on the ground right now, and it's not. It's mine and your shadow laying on the ground. Just because it's an absence of light. So if we're going to put science to this, it looks like one thing is in front of another. So that's why it, shadow is basically going to show up as a stick figure.
Makes sense.
So again, I like to make everything make sense. So again, and it's with real science. Like I'm not here to make shit up. So your Charlie Brown song. Sorry, putting an axe on that. I think
It's played a bunch of times. It might be relevant later.
Now, if you can tell me who actually wrote the Charlie Brown song, I might be super impressed.
Oh, no, I have no idea.
Okay.
He could probably tell you.
No, I can't.
Nothing? Vince Guaraldi. Never forget that. Sorry, I used to run music stores like long ago, and a former musician. I worked at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Nice.
So again, musicianship was in the blood, and then I learned my discovery of writing, and that's basically how all this got started, is because I was always writing about death. So it's kind of like, oh shit, I must become a damn ghost hunter. But yeah, long story.
I like it.
But anyway, so again, I like to quiz people on weird little facts about music when I do come across it, especially like when you tell me things about country music. I'm like, no, I don't like country. But you guys know those songs, but I don't care who sang them. It's what the lyric was. So our ghost isn't going to know that Vince Guaraldi wrote that, and maybe her son's name was Vince. That's not the connection. So a lot of people like to try to put that together. Most of the time, it is Harry Styles. Like, I just heard Harry Styles. Is there somebody named Harry? I'm like, no, that's not how this works. So, but again, you're going to see, like, you're on the right track with writing, typing things out. And then, of course, I want you guys to intermingle your devices. So flip it up from time to time. You don't have to. I just like to give you guys a little bit more of an immersive experience. Just share it with who you came with. So that's the only thing that I ask. So glad that you guys told me that you were married, because I never know. That's why I ask. So again, I made mistakes in my past again, like where I put my foot in my mouth. I'm like, hey, is it okay? And he's like, that's my sister, dude. And I'm like, whoa, what I mean? Like, but I mean, we're gonna be blindfolding people later. Like, obviously, you know that with the Estes method. And I'll make the joke like, hey, is it okay if I blindfold your wife? And one night the guy was like, dude, that's my sister. I'm like, okay, man. So
how am I supposed to know?
Exactly. Until I actually ask.
But
yeah, definitely keep listening. I'm gonna do one more quick round robin with everybody, see where everybody's at, and then I'll pull us all to the back. So just be looking for my arm.
All right.
I guess we can walk together.
I guess.
We had to be apart.
Oh, well, I guess since we're married, I guess we can hang out together. This is like my walking speed here. It's the trees.
So I've only been using it for about a month or so. You're going to have a set of headphones on because this thing can hear a frog fart from 3 miles away.
Okay.
And you're going to basically just listen intently, and you'll see exactly why as we kind of go through the history of why we're here. And we're going to record the entire session. I will listen to the entire recording because we're only going to be here for probably 7 or 8 minutes. This is the location, by the way, everybody, that I'm taking out this year, simply because every ghost tour comes down here. Again, I don't like to do the cliches and tropes, but I still keep getting a shit ton of evidence from this guy. It's hard to break away and get this guy out of here. So if the new location doesn't necessarily work out for me, this will be kind of like a backup reserve to keep it in. And I may not change it for next year. So keep that in mind. So with this, slide those over your ears. Elizabeth may have to help her out by taking those camera. And then you're just going to keep this guy in. You're going to either hold this. Should be pretty intense. So just, it's heavy. And then you can take the camera, or she can hang on to that either way. When I say that voice recorder is intense, she can hear everything. She can hear an ant walking in the bristle behind her. So you'll see why you're using it here in just a moment. Every ghost tour comes down here, we all tell the same story. I'm going to give you a few extra different details because we're ghost hunting. It's not a campfire marshmallow kind of ghost tour, right? So here's how this goes. A doctor moves down here from Rhode Island. His name is Dr. Joseph Brown Ladd. In the event that Anna hears the song Brown Eyed Girl while we're here, it's not coincidence. It's part of his name. We get it all the time. But anyway, he moves down here because he's supposed to get married to his fiancee, Amanda. Amanda just inherited a bunch of money from her dead parents. She has an attorney helping her out with all of this cash flow she just got. The attorney thinks that Dr. Ladd is just after Amanda's money. So he tells Amanda to get rid of the doctor. He comes here to Charleston to prove that he's not just after her money. On his way into town, though, the coachman he had set him up to be robbed and killed. It's kind of like having a bad Uber driver, right? So somebody was walking by and seeing what was about to happen. The guy walking by, we're going to stop there for a second. His name is Ralph Isaacs. I stopped on Ralph simply because he has the same initials as where the doctor came from, Rhode Island. So we get the letters RI all the time on devices like Anna's, but that's the exact reason why I bought the Ouija board device. I wanted to make sure we are getting the letters RI specifically because there's not many words that actually have that in their spelling. Victorious would be one of them, just to kind of give you an idea. But we have gotten the letters RI in the past year that I've had that, maybe about half a dozen times whenever I bring up Ralph's name. So you're literally looking for the letters RI in that order. Back to Ralph. He tells the doctor, dude, you don't want to stay here. I know this coachman. He's going to try to kill you. Come with me. We're going to go to 59 Church Street. And you can rent a room from these friends of mine. And you'll be safe and good to go. Doc took him up on the offer. Now, these two gentlemen become friends. The longer the doctor stays here, the more money he's making. He's proving his point that he's not after Amanda's money. She gets wind of this. She's coming down so they can be married. Dr. Ladd became known as the Whistling Doctor. Yes, the very cliched whistling ghost. Every haunted city you're ever going to visit is going to have one of those. Ours just happens to be a doctor. We do get whistles down here, which is exactly what I told you has a set of earphones on listening to everything. Hopefully we're going to get whistles. Every ghost tour tells you to listen for those whistles while you're down here. I'll talk more about that as we kind of go through this, but we're looking at capture it in real time. But we're also running 2 video cameras right now, plus my voice recorder that's on my bag. It's not as intense as that one, but hopefully we'll get something on one of those things. Back to Dr. Ladd and Ralph. They go see plays together, but they cannot sit next to each other because the doctor makes more money. That's the hierarchy of Charleston. So they have to talk about these plays on the way home. And they're talking about Richard III one night and one of the actresses that was in the play. Dr. Ladd thought this new actress was great. Ralph didn't. They start arguing, and then Ralph starts insulting the doctor's fiance back home in Rhode Island. It gets really ugly, and they go their separate ways. Now, Ralph has friends around town, as I've already told you. He goes to his friends at the newspaper and tells them to place an ad telling the whole city what he thinks of the doctor. Kind of you're a disgrace to society kind of bullshit, right? Doc saw this ad, but rebutted with, let's go to Dueler's Alley. Welcome to Dueler's Alley, everybody. This is where some of the duels used to occur for the city of Charleston. So, I say some because it was illegal, but this is where the doc challenged Ralph to come. So they came down here, they took their 10 paces away from each other, they turned, but the doc pointed his gun in the air and shot his one shot. He didn't want to kill his friend, he just wanted to have the courage and bravery to show up to the fight. Ralph, however, has his one bullet. He puts it in the kneecap on the doctor. Doc doesn't die, falls to the ground, his friends picked him up, took him home to 59 Church Street, where he dies 10 days later on November 2nd of 1786, after refusing medical treatment. I'm going to point out 2 things. It's 1786. Gunshot wounds are a lot different back then than what we know of them now. Secondly, he's a doctor. He probably just thought he had lead poisoning and tried to bleed it out himself, but he failed, obviously because he died. And I told you every ghost story comes down here and tells you to listen for those whistles. We're doing that mechanically. However, our spirit boxes, like Anna's, will also give us whistling parts of a song with the word doctor from a commercial immediately after. Dozens upon dozens of times this has happened to me in the 4 years I've been coming here. So it's almost like a doctor. We get it all the time. I know it sounds funny, but we get it. We'll also get numbers like 59. We get the doctor's birthday down here a lot as well. And it's not even near his birthday, but we get it all the time. It's just a weird thing that we get. So we do get a lot of weird things. If you're going to try this on your own and walk through here with the voice recorders from your phone, just keep in mind that every local knows the story. Anybody walking up and down Cumberland Street, the street we came in on, or Queen Street, we all throw a whistle down this alley every single time we walk past. I do it every single morning. Well, I used to do it. And my garage used to be over here above that little convenience store, but my office is this way. So about 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, I'm walking back to my car. And again, I do it every single night. But I don't park over there anymore, so I can't throw my whistles. That's why I'm throwing them in there now. But keep in mind, I've actually been thrown out of here. I used to throw them down here all the time when there was other tourists down here, just to kind of mess with them. Let's talk about how I got thrown out of here. That's the fun part of the story. This alley didn't go all the way through that way. There was a wall up there. The reason why is because this is where they kept the livestock for the city of Charleston. This used to be called Cow Alley before it was Dueler's Alley. Yeah, kind of a weird thing. Imagine a bunch of cows and chickens down here and then a bunch of men down here trying to kill each other with one-bullet guns. However, that means the bricks on the other side, those are older than the ones you're standing on. Those bricks are sun-dried bricks from slave children down on the other end. There's a full handprint from a slave child down there with fingerprint swipes and others. When I first started doing tours, I used to take my groups all the way through. And I would take them down there to show them that brick for a history lesson, nothing paranormal about it. I treat that brick the same way I do a grave. The kid's not there. That's the last place you're going to find them. So, one night, November 26th of 2020, I had my entire group of 10 huddled around that brick, waiting for something to happen with the gear I passed out. I know nothing's going to happen. I'm trying to shoot them along because I'm also trying to be respectful to the beautiful mansion at the end of the alley. We're outside his dining room window. He came out screaming. My daughter thought it was great because her dad's getting yelled at while he's at work. She thought it was awesome. But anyway, we moved along. The next day was Thanksgiving. I went tour on Thanksgiving because I worked in retail management for Walmart for over 10 years, upper management, and you guys like to fight over towels on Thanksgiving. So I've been scarred for life. Thank you for that. So I don't do Thanksgiving anymore. The next day was the 28th. The dates are relevant. I called my partner that I had at the time, and I told him what happened with the owner of the mansion. He laughed at me just like my daughter did, and he said, dude, you're only allowed to go down halfway. Otherwise, you got to reroute your group. So I told my group that night, I don't believe in the next story because I'm a vampire guy, not a pirate person. Obviously, we're discussing pirates next. So we'll see what happens as we kind of go up and around there. Now, before we left, somebody with a spirit box, here's the name Anne. Ironically, her name is Anne. So I didn't tell them which pirate we were going to be investigating, the famous female pirate, Anne Bonny. I was like, well, shit, maybe we're going to get something. We get up and around the corner. I told them the little bit I did know about piracy, which wasn't much, because again, a couple of hours to do some quick research on a lot of pirates. Somebody else hears the number 300 on their spirit box. I don't know what that one means. I write it down. I do the research. Turns out we were there November 28th of 2020. Anne Bonny's trial for piracy, November 28th of 1720. The exact 300th anniversary of her pirate trial. Now I'm getting a lot of surprised looks, which is the common reaction that I normally get. I was actually pissed off. Let me explain. I have a master's degree in creative writing. Yes, I write a lot of fiction. When I'm doing this, I need facts and data. Pirate stories come from pirate lore, which was written 100 years after the Golden Age of piracy. It is very hard to find facts and data from the Golden Age of piracy. I've read more books on pirates than you guys ever wanted to in your entire lives combined. I've watched more documentaries, played video games, got as many versions of this story as I possibly could to make sure like what we're doing over there is legitimate. So we do get a lot over there, but it is a 50-50 roll of the dice if she'll be there at the same time that we are. I'll explain once we get into that space. Have you heard anything crazy come out of there that you can think of? Any words that we need to know about from your word list?
A church.
Oh, we're near the biggest church, and we're about to go to Church Street.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I've seen willingness.
Oak.
Oak, therefore, I've seen. Survey, I've seen.
Okay. Church, so far, is the only one that's relevant. Not to mention, the doctor lived on Church Street. So hopefully the number 59 showed up for Anna, and we have the full address. That would be super awesome. Like, I'd be super stoked about that. So, were you listening at all, or were you focused on me?
A little bit both.
Okay. Wow, that's talent, because most people can't do that. I talk fast, and so does that. So what did you get out of it?
I haven't really heard anything relevant.
Nothing good. Any readings coming out of that? I would normally, by the way, I forgot to tell you, like in here, I would expect something above a 7, just because our lamp posts are going to give off some EMF. We're close proximity to that. So I usually tell people your baseline here is not a 2.5, it's that 7. But where we're going, I'm actually excited about a 2.5 because we don't normally get a whole lot of EMF readings over there. So I'll go through that as we kind of get into the picture. So where's your voice recorder at? You can kind of see that. We're going to go ahead and stop that recording at this point, and we're going to use this again later. Take off those earbuds. Sorry, we used to use earbuds with everything.
Yeah.
So how's your hearing now? Kind of sucks, doesn't it?
It's making fun right now.
I'm telling you, this thing is super intense. Once we use this at the next location, not the next one, but the new location, I'll let you guys like pass it around to whoever is comfortable with putting these on for a few minutes. Just kind of give you a test market of like what this guy actually does. It's pretty crazy. So you guys ready to learn about some radar pirates?
Yeah.
All right. Nobody got my dad joke. Wow, that's crazy. Before we leave the space, the gate behind me, there's a reason why I stopped here, and I always forget to tell you guys this. And it sucks because I'm going to be leaving this space. By the way, this is one of the most picturesque places we have in all of Charleston, day or night. So if you're a picture taker, this is the place to be. But the gate. Remember I told you that the alley didn't go all the way through that way? So if there was a loser to the duel, the dead guy, this was a shortcut to get to the cemetery on the other side of the wall. Otherwise, they're carrying the dead weight, like my bag, all the way down to Queen Street and then doubling back with that dead body before they can go celebrate the winner. The wrought iron gate was probably put here in the early 1900s, but you can see that the archway right above it was part of the original wall. So I just like to point that out because this not a whole lot of people know why this gate is here. It's not an easement now. Like, again, there's a lot of laws with boundaries and that kind of thing, but there's a reason why that wrought iron gate is there because this belongs to the city, that belongs to the church. So they had to separate between the city and the church. So that's why it's there. All right, now we're ready to go learn about radar pirates. Definitely keep an eye on your word list and you're listening. And Jack, definitely unmute as we kind of exit the space. Video cameras, if you want to continue recording along the way, you can. Otherwise, go ahead and stop them and give your hands a break. You're not holding hands like a suitcase anyway, so he's all good to go. Did I screw up anybody's name yet, by the way? Nope. All right, good. I was off yesterday, so it's kind of like all right, I gotta get my name game back on. The city where she grew up, and the name of the Copper Jack ship. It'd be funny if Jack actually had a ship, and it was the exact same damn name.
That'd be great.
I would giggle my ass off on that one. Let's go.
Super freak. Super freak.
Not anything nuts?
No,
No.
not yet.
Anna, what do you got so far? What do you got so far? Anything good?
These are not seen as long as I'm out tires. Call 18, 32, 118 kids. Yeah, Nazis a weird thing here.
It is.
What were the lyrics of the Miley Cyrus song?
It was the younger song. What? Yeah, I heard 18 like twice.
It's weird, because I don't know where that's falling into play. I don't know where that's coming from. Based on, I gave Toyo a spirit box like yours. It's just not recording. She's done other tours like this, so I'm trying to give her like an array of things that she's not done yet. That's why she got to use the listener over there and so forth and so on. Not that I'm looking to impress, but I want to like at least show her like it can be a lot different when you're using different gear. But you said you were familiar with the Estes method, so what do you know about it?
I mean, I've never done it before. I've just kind of read a little bit about it when I saw that you did it, because I didn't know what it was.
Okay.
So I just kind of looked it up and read a little bit about it. The most I've done is it called like the barometer, like the ticker machine, I think. Maybe it's called something else. I've done like another thing where it was like in this warehouse in Savannah,
Okay.
and it was like a box that kind of picked up noise and it would like change the colors and like light up and kind of record stuff.
Interesting. I'm just wondering what it is, because there's a lot of devices that do that. So if they had like a REM pod which detects motion, I was just curious on like.
This one kind of picked up on like the noises that you didn't hear, like you couldn't just hear, but it would pick up on those.
Okay. I'd be curious to see what they're doing down there. But there's two parts to this whole Estes method. So obviously you and Toyo are the most, I guess, interested in it and probably most knowledgeable. But I think I'm going to go with probably you and Elizabeth, because there are two parts to this. I'll explain before we leave this space. But again, I think I'm going to have you as like the speaker blindfolded person. You okay with that, by the way? Again, I always ask the husband, is he okay with me blindfolding the wife? Again, sounds weird. But I'll probably have you blindfolded. I'll explain everything. And again, there's some safety precautions we have to take, of course, just based on, there's going to be people watching you. I mean, we're not going to walk away and leave you blindfolded on a bench somewhere. But there's going to be another part that is super interesting, but is a little bit more accurate, that goes along with this versus what you guys see on TV. So the point of what's
next Teresa Caputo. Take this off.
Then we're gonna walk away. You two are gonna talk, become besties for 5 minutes. What I will ask here, I only had 2 people. It was November. It's kind of like what happened last night. Somebody canceled and they couldn't move, so I came down. And I didn't know what we were gonna find in here. I just basically told the young lady with the spirit box, tell me whatever you hear, because I don't know why the other ghost tours come in here. What they heard was the year 1828 and the name Henry. I was using the digital word list. I had the name Tim on there. Behind me is a bust of Henry Timrod, born in 1828. So it's kind of like, well, hot damn, there's my ghost. All right, so here's what you need to know about him. He's a writer, and he's sick through most of his life. Born in 1828, he's old enough to go fight in the Civil War, 1860s. So he goes out to the battlefield, fight for the Confederacy, because he's from Charleston, and he gets out there, and his comrades realize he's too sick to fight. They sent him home, knowing he was a writer, said, go be the voice of the war. They wanted him to tell people what was going on the battlefield. So he comes home, starts writing poetry about what's going on in the battlefield. He became known as the Laureate of the Confederacy. So it's a pretty prestigious title in case you're not familiar with the writing world. But anyway, a couple years go by and he has a son. His son's name is Willie. He's born on Christmas Eve. So this could be a very touchy subject. October was horrible because that son Willie died 9 months later, October 23rd. Ironically, both Henry and his son were born in December and died in October. So October, this was completely silent on their end. Like we got nothing, like all month long. It was like a whole month of mourning. So it's been a little better in November and December, but not by much. So kind of keep that in mind as we kind of go through this. But obviously this tragedy of 9-month-old baby dying is a big deal for him and his wife, and Henry's not writing as much. He has another writer friend here in town, Paul Hamilton Hayne, another poet, and he says, you're not writing as much, dude. Go get back on track, use my cottage in Columbia. So he goes out there and he writes his last words. And he basically wrote, Dear beholder of brief mortality. Beholder of brief mortality translates to dear person with a short life. And then he coughed, and it landed on the page in a blood stain. He had tuberculosis. He died at the age of 38 years old, right there on the page. However, that blood stain looks like a man writing at his desk. Perfect legendary mark for a poet to leave behind. Now, they show that page one day a year at the Charleston Library Society. You gotta be a member to be able to go see it on Halloween, because that's the only day that they show it. We call it the Blood Book. But the internet's beautiful. I'm gonna show you what the page looks like, and then we're gonna go talk to them as if they're Henry Timrod. Kind of see how this goes. We will stay huddled around them pretty close and tight, because if other tourists are coming through here and we're blindfolding people and asking random questions in the middle of the night, it just looks really odd. This is his last page. So, beholder brief mortality, cough, cough, death. Here is your tuberculosis stain. Now, good creepy story for us to end the night on. I figured as much. I'll start off with a football player and end with this guy. So, it's kind of how our night went. All right. right, let's go do this. Are you still
I kind of ripped some apart, but I stopped because I didn't know if it was supposed to be ripped or not. So I just took it
So, when I bought these, I thought of the ladies. These are quick ladies, but it's a Batman hat. So now it's not going to ruin your hair. Look at me. So, here's how this is going to go. I'm going to keep you guys under for 10 minutes, like I said. So, obviously, Elizabeth, you're going to be able to hear me. So, when I say we're done, obviously peel the thing off your face.
Okay.
And you're going to be describing the images that are, once I put my phone in there, keep it simple. She's not going to be able to hear us. So, she's going to be trying to talk over you. Two ladies, bench, tree in the background. If she's not saying anything, I may ask probing questions. Give me a time era. What do women look like? What nationality would they be? So forth and so on. You're going to kind of go along
So
with that.
I'm describing what I'm seeing
You got it.
out loud
And you're going to see like a rolling smoke. I put that in there so you guys don't fall asleep during the 10 minutes. In the event you don't get any images at all, which can occur. On your end, you're literally going to be telling me everything you hear, including yes/no questions. So you don't know what questions I'm asking. I might ask her a ghost if I'm wearing a black vest. I want you to say yes. You just don't know what I'm asking. You're going to turn up your spirit box so that way you can't hear me. I'll ask a few very weird questions to verify that you can't hear me. And we're going to take it from there. 10 minutes. So Matt, when we're done, you're going to tap her on the leg. So that way you take off your own gear. I will never touch you, just so you know. So obviously it'll always be hubby touching your leg. If she's talking too loud, which I don't think is going to be an issue, he's going to tap you on the shoulder, which means quiet down a little bit. You haven't been like super loud tonight. Some people are like really, really loud. Like Jack would probably be really, really loud with this. There it is. So, but again, we do have neighbors. I try not to piss them. So kind of keep that in mind. I think we're ready to go. So blindfold, then headphones, and then the minute you start, I will start the timer. So it's 11:10 now.
So I'll just turn my thing back on?
Yep. Yeah, you'll just turn it back on. You didn't like shut it off, did you?
No.
Okay.
I have to put my glasses on.
Yeah, just probably. Oh, I'm gonna need that, so I can slide my phone.
Oh.
I do have to set it up real quick, so give me just a second here. And again, remember, I put that rolling smoke in there, and your images aren't going to be like 3D in your face, like most virtual reality things are.
Okay.
They're just going to be like 2D photographs floating over there, like Cuban cigar smoke. Give me just a second to set it up. Can you hear me? Anna? What color is a blue banana? Anna? Okay, she can't hear me. So okay, Henry Timrow, we are getting started and set up. So if you could tell us something about if you want to tell us something about your occupation to get things started, I would appreciate that.
Me?
No.
Oh.
Talking to her.
Okay.
Here, focus right here. Okay, sing over there.
Okay.
Henry, can you tell us something about your occupation, please? Henry, we need validation that you're here. Can you give us something about
Warfare is not.
Okay, you want to go straight into the war that you served? That's a yes/no question.
In life.
Yeah, we're talking about the war you served.
Another illness.
Jumping all over the place. Keep an eye on this guy. Sometimes if it doesn't come out of her, it'll come out of these two devices. Henry, is somebody else here with you tonight?
Yeah.
Okay, who is it? You can also show us images. This is Elizabeth. She can see whatever you want us to see.
I met.
Who did you meet? Who's here with you?
I began welding my custom-made fireplace for friends. Don't you cry no more.
No idea what she just said. Is it like that at home, Matt?
Yes.
Can't understand. That was a lie.
She's going to.
Henry, I know we're kind of chuckling. We're having a good time. Can you please tell us who else you brought here with you?
cheetah print.
Henry, Dr. Ladd followed you here tonight. Please tell him he's not welcome. As we kind of go through this, we're learning more about you specifically. Let's get back to
Four
our...
of them.
There's 4 people here. Okay. Oh, all of them, they're not welcome. I want you to answer what your occupation
Kids.
was. What was your occupation? Elizabeth, anything?
Earlier I saw in the forest trees. It was purple.
I ain't never been cheap.
You've always been poor, though. That's also in all of the stories told about you. Elizabeth just shot him out. It's okay. She can't harass me. Or Rachel.
12 days.
12. We have part of your birthday, Henry.
Go back.
You want us to leave? You just had a birthday, did you not? You can give us the date of that birthday. You gave us the number 12.
Unfaithful.
What was the date of your birthday? It was 12. And I'm letting you lead the conversation tonight instead of me asking all the probing questions. Poking the bear.
Where are you at?
I'm right here. Henry, what was the date of your birthday? March 28th. Is this new?
Credit analyst.
I am being a little less formal than I normally. Like more like straightforward. Let's get to the point. But I'm
You're
kind of
still with me.
letting this lead.
See a door.
American
window.
Stroke Association.
What kind of door is it?
It's a. It's a
Time.
bluish turquoise door with.
This story every year.
There's like
Bad kitties.
orange around it, and like in gold.
Okay. Yeah, they don't stay for long. So currently we have a forest and a door, Henry. I don't know what either one of those are going to be referring to until I look at them. Do you want to clarify what those are?
Unborn child.
Did you want to tell us about your son? He was born. It's not an unborn child. But you did say kids earlier. Now you told me unborn child. Do you want to talk about your son?
Crabs.
Screaming out random STDs at this point? Henry? I asked a lot of questions so far. Feel free to answer any of them. Birthday?
Season.
Who else is here with you? Your son? Your occupation? These are a lot of questions. I'll take answers to any of them. We're using a lot of these boxes tonight. Feel free to touch on any of them. Show us what you want us to
For
see.
a reason.
Yeah. He's a native. We normally would get the word native here. Henry,
Towels.
it's been about 6 minutes, Henry. We're down to about 4 left. You know how this works. I want everybody to keep in mind, like, what they're doing is all meant for one person.
I'm with you always.
It's just very over, like, it can be, I've had people have seizures during this. That's why there's, yeah, that's why I'm like, I don't write anything down. I'm watching their breathing to make sure they're okay.
Extremist.
Yeah, it can be extreme. Henry, let's get back to you. I want to know more about your occupation. You know we're on the same level with this. Validation that you're here. Show us anything.
843.
I normally throw out 843 because that's our area code. However, we did get 12, and I told you to look out for the number 8 because that is Henry's birthday. So it's a
Ulta Beauty.
Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer kind of mentality. It's vague, but it is there. You want to tell us your son's birthday?
18.
Nope. Try again. Should be an easy grab with the frequencies we're using this month.
979. Location.
Henry, tell us your son's birthday. It's an easy one.
Goodbye.
Do you want us to leave? Do you want us to go home?
Israel.
Should just say Israel. That Islam. Obviously picking up
Now I'm running out the back door,
There's our
finding
door.
a needle in a haystack.
Henry, we asked you a question if you'd like for us to leave and go home.
Best days of my life.
Elizabeth, you awake in there?
Yep.
Not a problem.
I'm waiting. They're one of those two images.
Yeah, sometimes we don't get any.
Christmas.
It's just the son's birthday. Is it Christmas Day or Christmas Eve? Henry. Should be an easy one to grab. Is it Christmas Eve or Christmas Day?
Prayer.
I don't know why the church calls it.
Rattlesnakes.
Henry, we're going to wrap this up. Can you tell us goodnight?
Potato.
Rattlesnakes and potatoes, everybody. Henry, can you tell us goodnight? Can you show us one more image and we'll wrap it up?
98.